application got hacked for the first time in my entire life, and I'm gonna tell you what happened.
ATM skimmer. And when over here, I noticed that there's a little bit of glue, and you can see it right here. Comes right off. This is very well made. You can see it's an exact replica.
Tell me why no one prepares you for getting your identity stolen. If you can't tell, I had my identity stolen, and I'm going to tell you what to do if you end up in my situation.
Identity theft this year is worse than ever, and most people don't even know they're at risk. From credit card skimmers to phishing texts to fake job listings, the scams have gotten smarter, faster, and harder to catch. And all it takes is one slip, one click, one swipe, one form, and your entire financial life can be hijacked. We're seeing stolen identities used to open fake accounts, rack up debt, and destroy credit scores before somebody even knows what's happened. But here's the part that nobody talks about. You can actually freeze your credit for free, and most people never do. In this video, I'm breaking down exactly how these scams work, why identity theft is exploding this year, and how to actually protect yourself. Now, if you guys have ever had your credit card hacked or have a story about scams, then definitely let me know about it down in the comments below. Otherwise, let's get right into today's episode.
Here you guys, there's a skimmer on here.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't even tell.
You're gonna pay for that.
What is this, at a grocery store?
There, don't do that. Don't do that. Okay? Don't do that. Why? What happened?
This is a skimmer.
What?
See that? A skimmer.
How would you even get that on at,
See that?
At a grocery
You see here?
store?
It's not broken. Yeah. Okay.
Uh-huh. I definitely know about it.
It's a skimmer.
There's no way.
This is how you take people's money, get their credit card information.
I am shocked.
This is how you get people's credit card information. The scammer will put this on. People will use their credit card. It will capture their credit card information, and that's what happens. Yeah.
Wow.
Call the police, no?
Well, yeah, but so now we can use it, and it's fine.
It's so
Now I'll pay
realistic
for it.
too. It's like a perfect copy. I'm actually blown away with how perfect that thing has looked. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if I've accidentally used one. I've had my credit card hacked a couple of times, and I'll tell you about that story later on. Anyway, I wanted to read a couple of the comments somebody had left on that TikTok. The first one says, they totally know it was on there. 100,000 likes. Yeah, I'm actually pretty surprised with their reaction. It almost seems like they got caught and were a deer in headlights, because honestly, if I was one of the workers there and I saw that get peeled off, I would be completely shocked, not defending it and saying, don't touch that, don't touch that, don't be taking it off. But I guess some people might actually think genuinely that it's getting broken. You don't need to explain it to them. They know. Def has to be in it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Def has to be an inside job. And my job, I would 100% know if somebody put a skimmer on our machines or not. And that's the confusing part too. I've always heard about skimmers, and they're usually on ATMs and stuff because they're a bit easier to stick on. But this is at a grocery store. It's right in front. You would figure that someone would very easily be able to tell if that's getting put on. But then again, it makes me think, like, if they put it on while nobody was there, it would be pretty easy to slip over. Like, think about it. Every time I go to, like, Target, there's tons of registers that nobody is on. So it wouldn't be too hard to slip one over quick.
If I find your credit card at the bar, I'm buying myself a drink with it, because if it was anybody else, they'd run up the tab. As for me, I'm just doing a one and done, and you can thank me later.
Heads up, credit card skimmers were found at another grocery chain here in Massachusetts, and it wasn't just a few of them.
Wow.
The skimmers were found at 11 Big Y locations across the state, and you can see them here on this map. They were all affected between December 19th and the 21st of 2023, except for the store in Westfield. The skimming there lasted an entire month. So make sure to check your credit card statements, your bank statements in late December and January of this year.
You know, it's crazy because the only time I've ever had my credit card stolen was actually here in Florida. I decided to go on a cruise on the East Coast out of Miami. And we went early to get lunch before we went on the cruise, my fiance and I. And what we did was we went to I'll never forget this because it was like 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago. We went to Halal Guys in Miami on the East Coast. And I kid you not, I remember very rarely do I use my debit card for paying for stuff. At least there, I usually use my debit card like online. But this, on Amazon and stuff. But this time I used my physical debit card on the Halal Guys machine, like the one they showed in the grocery store. All was well. We had our food. This is the only time I was ever on the East Coast. And the first time in a long time I've ever used my, Chase debit card. We get to the cruise ship. I go on the cruise ship. I'm in my on the balcony. All of a sudden, I start getting charges on my debit card from a Chipotle in California. Like several charges. I think it was 2 to 3 charges. And then I was able to report it immediately as fraud and cancel the card. This is while I'm about to go away. I wanted to use this card, but Chase handled it very well, and they immediately were able to stop all the payments from going through. It kept getting charged. And I was like, there had to have been a skimmer or something at the Halal Guys, because it was almost immediately after. I'm talking less than an hour later. Boom, 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 charge after charge after charge on my card. So it's nearly unavoidable. But what I will say is a lot of people go back and forth with like, oh, you're better off using a credit card because credit cards are, safer when it comes to money compared to a debit card. And that might be true because those deductions were my actual money. When it's a credit card, it's not my money. I'm borrowing, the credit card's money.
And as you can tell, identity theft in 2025 is seriously getting out of control. People are having their information stolen all the time, not just online, but even from credit card skimmers in stores. It's a real threat that can happen to just about anyone, and the fallout can be a huge headache. Once your identity is compromised, it can take months or even years to fix the damage to your credit and finances. That's why Aura, the sponsor of today's video, is so important, because they monitor your personal information across the dark web and alert you quickly if anything suspicious pops up. Aura also blocks scam websites and phishing attempts before they reach you as well. Plus, with credit monitoring, identity theft insurance up to $1 million, and spam call protection, Aura helps protect your money and your peace of mind. So don't wait until it's too late. Check out the link in the description of today's episode or visit aura.com/Hayden Schreier to try Aura free for 14 days and start protecting yourself today. Otherwise, let's get back to the video.
My credit card information got hacked for the first time in my entire life, and I'm gonna tell you what happened. I know this happens pretty frequently.
It does.
Like I hear people talking about how they had all these like fraud charges and they have to cancel their credit card and get a new credit card. Basically, my husband watches the credit card like a hawk. Any purchase I make, he's like, "Why did you spend $10 at Walmart for? What did you buy?" When he saw that there were $300 charges to Costco.com,
Yep.
He was about to have my head. So when he asked me if I bought anything on Costco.com for $300, I was like, first of all, no. Second of all, we don't even have a Costco membership. How am I going to be buying something off of Costco.com? So then we go into kind of panic mode because we're like, well, it wasn't me and it wasn't you, and we don't have a Costco membership. So obviously someone is spending a lot of money on our credit card. And then $300 turned into $400,
Oh my gosh.
$500, and we were almost at $1,000 of fraud charges on our credit card. We didn't have the best phone service where we were at. What are we supposed to do? Call the bank? Drove to a place with better cell service to be able to call the bank to get that credit card shut down, because somebody out there is just super, super happy and having the best day of their life, get all this free crap. I don't know what they bought. If you're the one that sold my credit card, you're welcome. You're welcome for the $1,000 of crap that you just bought.
The more I think about it, I think the Chipotle charges on my debit card, they were online orders, and I think it was like, it showed up as like Chipotle, California as like headquartered there, their headquarters, but I think they were mobile online orders. Now, I'm curious if you guys have ever had your credit card stolen, fraudulent charges, so on and so forth. Definitely let me know your story about it down in the comment section below, as I am very curious to reading and hearing your stories.
So when you claim fraud on your credit card for something that is not fraud, for example, you don't want to pay for a good or a service and you think that it's a victimless crime. In truth, the business, and in particular small businesses, are almost always liable for it.
Yep.
The bank doesn't pay for it. They may in certain situations, but I guess it might depend on the bank and the business. I don't know. So not only is a small business paying twice for the good or service, they also have to pay for a fee for this entire investigation.
Oh my gosh.
And also, depending on what it is, it may be really difficult for the business to prove that it is not fraudulent. So if you want to do this in the future, I can't control you, right? But I can persuade you not to do it to small businesses. Thank you.
I used to work at an exotic car rental company, and this would happen all the freaking time. There were many times where we were renting to the not most friendliest people or trustworthy people, let's just say that. And countless times after they took the rental out, we're talking Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Corvettes, after they, had their joyride and fun, about a day or two after they returned it, we would get a credit card claim that their credit card was stolen and they weren't the actual renter. They don't know who did it. It's not theirs. And half the time, the credit card companies would give the money back to the people. It's absolutely BS. I kid you not, we had all the safety precautions and they would still side with the consumer. I'm talking, we had signed documentation. We had photos of their credit cards that we took. We copied them, had them sign off on it. We had video camera proof that they were the ones that did it, and even signed contracts that said it was them. And yet still, even with all of that evidence, the credit card companies would still side with them. So we were out the rental and being able to rent that car, the downtime, because we could have rented that to somebody else that would have actually paid. But we also then had to pay the credit card companies back. It was absolutely BS. And it just goes to show you that it is very common for people to lie and get away with it. It's honestly almost too easy. And I do have a story that we'll talk about a little bit later, hopefully on today's episode, where I had a bit of a problem with that, with Zelle. A very interesting problem with Zelle. I actually got my bank account frozen for months because of a bad Zelle transaction. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I only claim fraud when a business full-on doesn't send me the product and ghosts me. I try all other avenues first. Yeah, I totally agree. There's nothing wrong with that. You can claim fraud if you paid for something and you do not get the product or service. That is entirely the reason why your credit card companies will allow this. So there's no issues with claiming fraud. I've had to do it a couple times with businesses that have charged me and never given me a product or the service that I was asking for.
NYU, we have serious beef. I got a letter from NYU yesterday, but they rejected me. So I'm like, oh, do they want me now? Do they want me to come to their school? Let me read it to you. We are writing to inform you of a data security incident. An unauthorized actor took certain files from our network. We identified one or more files containing your name and social security number. NYU leaked my identity to hackers. The funny thing is, they offered to put me in an identity monitoring service so I don't get my identity stolen. So NYU rejected me, and this is what I get. So I think I deserve an automatic acceptance because now hackers have all my information. I'm probably going to get my identity stolen. So stay tuned. I'll keep you updated.
You never really think about it, but it's absolutely complete BS. But you got to think, every single website or store that you create a username and password for, they're supposed to have security protect your information. And there are countless times when that information gets hacked. I've been using Aura, today's sponsor, for several weeks now, and the amount of, compromised passwords that I get, even Google shows me compromised passwords, Apple shows me compromised passwords, is complete and utter dog doo-doo. You know what I'm saying? Because you go in and trust these companies. I've gotten letters back many years ago. Home Depot had that huge data breach, and all your payment information, addresses, logins, passwords were all hacked and compromised and, sold on the internet. It's absolutely BS. I've had, emails hacked. I've had Twitter accounts hacked. I've had Instagrams hacked, so on and so forth, because those passwords got compromised from a leak that wasn't my fault, but it affects you greatly. That's a big deal. It pisses me off. And now I have to change all my freaking passwords or use Google or Apple's random password generator, which is ridiculous because it's not cross-compatible. I can't remember the 9 million alphanumerical letters and digits that go into it. And God forbid you update your phone or something and those passwords get lost. It's a huge pain in the neck. So let this be a lesson to always use, especially for important stuff. Use Google two-factor authentication or any sort of two-factor authentication. Never, and I mean never, give out those key codes that pop up on your phone. Don't give them out to anyone over the phone or anything like that. But definitely use 2FA because that certainly will help minimize any sort of hacks.
Today I went to deposit money in my bank account, and then I realized that I couldn't get a receipt by text. And I'm like, that's weird. I've had the same number for 17 years. I've had this bank account for like 10 years. So whatever. I'll check it out. So I check my bank account online and I see that my phone number's not in there. It's two random phone numbers, local phone numbers, but not my phone number. Because like I said, I've had the same phone number for like almost 20 years. At this point, I freak out. I screenshot the phone numbers, I delete them, and I try to add my phone number, but it won't let me. It says there's a security issue that I have to call to change my phone number. I said, okay. I call, and the lady, I tell the lady what's going on. She was like, oh, that's fine. Yeah, I'll put in the phone number. Can you give me Gave her the phone number. Then once I gave her the phone number, I said, hey, and she was like, okay, well, everything's good. I was like, no. And everything's not good because someone got in my bank account and they changed information within that bank account. So how does this happen? And she was like, well, I don't know, sir. I don't see anyone accessing your account. And I was like, well, find someone that can see. So she goes to tell me someone on...
I love saying that line to customer service representatives when they say that. Well, I don't know how to do that. Okay, well, then transfer me to somebody that knows how to do that. It's that simple. They never like that answer, but it is the perfect line to give to, customer service representatives or when the conversation isn't going your way.
Have called in to change the contact information in my banking account. And I was, how? And she was like, oh, well, I guess they must have had enough information to do it. I was like, well, they don't have access to my email. I check my email daily and where it's accessed at. And that was the only other way to verify it besides my phone number. So how does this happen?
I don't know.
She was like, well, I really can't tell you, sir. But then I go to try to make my account. And I get halfway through with all the new information, and then it freezes and it kicks me out. And I'm on the phone with the lady. She's trying to get me off the phone so I can talk to someone else. And I'm like, whoa. It kicked me out. It's not letting me go any further. And she was like, oh, that's weird. Well, oh, yeah, your account's been frozen because of suspicious activity. Suspicious activity? I'm on the phone with you. We're done. We're secure now. But... my account's basically on lock for a little bit. And on top of that, no debit card, no credit card. Those had to get canceled. They canceled those. And I'm going out of town in 2 days to Rockville. When's the new one going to get here? Because I leave in 2 days. She gives me roughly the time where I'm going to get my card. I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work. I'm going out of town in 2 days. So that needs to be here like tomorrow or early Wednesday. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And she was like, well, you can get it expedited. It's going to be a $15 charge. It'll come directly out of your account, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, ma'am, why am I being charged because of a security issue with my bank account and because I need access to my funds? Eventually, I was just like, you know what? Charge my account. I just need it here in time. But I also can't even get paid from work. And I'm going out of town in 2 days. Oh, and Rockville doesn't take cash in the venue. Yep, that's what I've been dealing with for the better part of like 2.5 hours.
When he said his bank account got locked out, this is a story I wanted to tell you guys. Many years ago, I had bought something on Facebook Marketplace, and the person that I bought it from had Zelled me money. And what was interesting was several days later, I was actually on vacation at the time, I noticed my entire bank account was locked and completely frozen. And I was like, what the heck is going on? So I called Chase, and Chase then told me, well, there looks to be some sort of fraudulent transaction that was sent to you from the person that sent you the Zelle payment reported it as stolen. And we're investigating it to make sure you're not the one that hacked their account and sent it. And I'm like, you would think that if I was allegedly to steal someone's bank account information, that I would wire and Zelle my personal account the money? Like, I'm that stupid of a criminal to do? Does that make any sense to you? And they're like, well, yeah, well, that does make sense, but sorry, there's nothing we can do. I was like, well, how long is this going to take? They're like, the investigation could take anywhere from, 2 to 6 months. My account was frozen for, I think, 3.5 to 4 months. I had zero access to any of the money in my bank account. I was like, it's a charge for like $40 on the Zelle account. Why can't you just freeze the $40 that you're investigating? I have my entire life savings in there that I need. Sorry, the entire account has to be frozen. The only thing you're allowed to do is make deposits in there. I said, why the hell would I deposit money into it that I then can no longer access for 4 months? I had to skate by on several credit cards, open up a new bank account, and start using that one. It was the most utterly ridiculous BS that I have ever dealt with. So really tread lightly when it comes to receiving Zelle from people, because honestly, it can happen. Your best bet, cash is king, but you really have to be careful accepting Zelle. I still do it. I am still guilty when I still have accepted a Zelle payment from people on Facebook Marketplace, but I don't know. They kind of back me into a corner. I tell them to bring cash. Then they show up. I don't have enough cash. Do you mind accepting Zelle? And I say, fine, okay. And then it's been okay for the past several years since that incident, but it's always haunting me in the back of my head. Forma BOFA here. I don't know what BOFA is. You could see how the number was changed. Person, customer, automated, online, talk to fraud department. If they can't figure it out, threaten with FCC, FDIC, FBI, Secret Service, yada, yada, yada. They all investigate banks. Very interesting. Go into a branch, withdraw the cash, open a new account at a credit union. This now reminds me another crazy story that happened. Many years ago, my girlfriend and I, she got money from her tips and we went at night to deposit money into her bank account. And we went to the ATM, we put the money in, and then we put her card in, and the entire machine froze. It locked her credit card in the machine and it wouldn't give her her money back or deposit it into her account. It took us so freaking long. We had to jump through hoops to get her own money back and deposited. We closed the account after that. That's how much BS there was. The following day, we went to the bank. The bank said, oh, you have to speak to the customer service department. We're like, we're in the bank. Why can't you look at the security cameras? What are you talking about? They then said, call customer service. So we call customer service. Customer service says, nope, we can't handle this. You have to go into the branch. So we're in the branch. I said, I'm on the phone with them right now. I had to give them my phone. And they went back and forth and were arguing on my own cell phone. And eventually, after several hours, we got the money back. But, what a disaster.
An ATM skimmer. And when I over here, I noticed that there's a little bit of glue, and you can see it right here. And just because I'm paranoid with cybersecurity, I decided just to go ahead and I'll let you hear. So it actually comes right off. This is very well made. You can see it's an exact replica. Actually, hold on, man. Don't do that. Don't do this. Hold on. Okay, so this one you're fine. This is actually a skimmer that actually steals credit cards. So this one right here, you can tell, is safe because you can't take this off.
Tell me why no one prepares you for getting your identity stolen.
Nope.
If you can't tell, I had my identity stolen, and I'm going to tell you what to do if you end up in my situation. First things first, you need to call your banks, any bank you bank with, even if they don't have that bank account's information. You need to tell them to close your account, and then you're going to have them open a new account and transfer all your money over. Next thing you're going to do is call the big creditors. There's 3 different big creditors, and you can look them up online. You're going to tell them to freeze your credit and also let them have an alert on your account. So if anyone tries to open credit in your name, it'll stop it. You can also do this on their websites most of the time. You're then going to file a police report. You might have to argue with the police department for a little bit. My police department was like, you can't file your police report for this unless you have a letter from your bank. But the bank needs the police report to file the investigation. So if this happens to you, you're going to say, please cite the law that says this is required. They won't be able to cite it. If you didn't close your accounts fast enough or whatever, and you see unusual charges in your account, you're going to call your bank. If it's just charges that are credit payments or anything like that, they can just do that quickly. Unauthorized payments are easy. Now, if they forge checks from your name like they did to me, it's not so easy.
Nope.
They're going to make you submit a notarized official affidavit. The affidavit requires a police report number. Usually you can get notarized if you can go in person to your bank branch. But if you don't live near your bank like me, then you're going to have to get a notary to do it in your area. If they've drained you of all your money, you can't afford that notary, but you're going to have to figure it out like I did. You're going to send that in. Anything from a credit or an unauthorized charge should be back to you within 48 hours. And if they drained it in a different way, then it's probably going to take a week to 90 days.
Oh my God.
Now, if they have your social security number, you have to call the social security people. They probably won't answer you. Keep calling until they answer you. If it's on the weekend, they might just not, but if it's on the weekday, keep calling until they answer you. To be on the safe side, change all your passwords. Would love to know how there's not just easy resources on this. If you have MasterCard, they have an ID theft protection program where they will scan the dark web for all of your information.
Pretty cool.
I just discovered all of this. Then you need to go through anything that you make recurring payments on. So like your rent or like literally like your Spotify subscription. Change that all over to the new bank account, assuming you still have money left and they didn't drain you of all your life savings. The final thing I want to reiterate is that the police department says that they cannot file a police report. They can. Ask to speak to a detective or someone higher up because they will throw a tantrum about doing their job. Not all banks have 24/7 fraud hotlines. If you have a small local bank, you won't be able to contact them till a weekday on a business hour. That's gonna really suck. You should probably also reach out to your credit card if you have one.
Unreal.
I cried for 3 hours on the phone with my bank today. Please send help.
And that's the thing with identity theft. It can be completely devastating and absolutely ruin somebody's life as well as their finances. And that is why it is so important to stay on top of that. Now, crazy enough, I mean, we talked about Aura. Aura is certainly a very good service to use, but at the bare minimum, what you should be doing, which is completely free to do, is freeze your credit. It's that simple. It's very easy. Actually, doing the research for this video, I actually froze my credit. Now, it's a little bit tedious, but it is worth it. It is much better to take an hour to freeze your credit, 30 minutes to freeze your credit, than actually, have your credit stolen or have somebody open up and take out loans in your name. That would be devastating. You don't want to deal with that. Now, it's simple to do. You just sign up to the 3 major creditors. It's like Experian. I don't know the other 3. It's very simple. I'll post them up on the screen. You go into their website, you log in, you enter your information, which is strange, and then you just click freeze credit. And what that does is now you can no longer open up any sort of credit in your name without unfreezing it first. And it's very simple to do. You're better off having it on default frozen than, having it unfrozen and then just letting anything happen. So let's say you do actually need to get your credit checked, a hard inquiry, like you're going to go get a car or something, whatever. And not that I recommend car payments, but what you would do, go onto the website, unfreeze it, let them do their thing, and then you freeze it after, and you're good to go. I did it. It took a little bit, but it was definitely worth it. Now, one thing she did mention, and it is true, when it comes to like credit card transactions, it is very easy to get those reversed. But when it comes to actual physical money being moved, like if somebody bank wires someone else money, they stole your bank account and they wired money out of your account. It is a much, much, much harder thing to prove and reverse. It's a much more lengthier process. So you're better off taking these precautions earlier than later. Identity Theft Resource Center is a nonprofit that helps people in this situation. They have a phone number you can call too. I read a memoir by a woman who had her identity stolen at age 11, ruined her credit and essentially her life. Turns out it was her own mother. Yeah. That's insane, but I have heard stories, and I do know of people that have had their parents that were, addicted or that were addicts or needed money and opened up credit cards in their children's names fraudulently and destroyed their credit before they were even of age. It's insane.
Just did it again. That's fucking crazy. I'm not gonna pay card.
He looks guilty
crazy,
as ever.
Man.
That's actually insane.
No, I'm gonna take it. Thanks, though.
You can't do that, man.
You can't do that?
Yeah, I mean.
Guys, so I found another skimmer device. Basically, if you come to a pump and you select the buttons and they kind of have to be forced in and they're not popping up like they should be, most likely you have a skimmer device. This one is the overlay that captures your data when you type in your button for your PIN number. That's being recorded and that's also being transmitted. So when you slide your card and you push the buttons, the numbers are being captured on this device here. Now, as far as your card reader, if you pull this,
yeah, that's got to be fake too, right? No.
If you ever go to any place where you can swipe your card, most likely
you would never think.
This is what they put there. So if you can try to pull it and it's loose,
oh my
most
God.
likely they have a skimmer device, and that's where they're capturing your mag strip or your chip on your card. So this one captures your PIN. Yep. This one captures your card.
That is freaking insane. insane. That's why every time I go to a gas station or wherever it is, I'm always pulling on that stuff, or an ATM. I'm pulling on it to make sure that it doesn't come off, but he's using a screwdriver. So that might be actually pretty difficult to pull off with your hands. But one thing I did notice, which is cool, Costco, if you guys have ever been to the Costco pump, they actually put tape over every one of their, devices like that, over the pin and stuff like that. And it's like tamper-proof tape. So they know if somebody covers it up, don't use it. It's been tampered with. So just some food for thought. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Definitely make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And if you guys haven't seen my previous episode, how scams are absolutely out of control and insane this year, definitely make sure to check that episode out right after this. Peace.